Hey y'all, guess what? It's story time Saturday and I'm back with story time Saturday. I've been meaning to get back on it, y'all. I've been meaning to get back on it, but so much has been happening. And if you're a follower and you follow me for my vlogging journey or my motherhood journey, you already know what the heck going on right now. So we're gonna do the story time about how Miss Pearl gaslit me into thinking that my child's father was not my child's father.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute.
I know this sounds weird, but let me explain. That's why it's called story time. And that's exactly why I say at the end, when I do a story time, it gets crazy. Because this is crazy. So let's get right into it. It was 2005. I went my whole pregnancy with my firstborn child, who's now, today he's 19. He was born July of 2005. And I should have stayed my behind in the pregnant women's shelter where I was at, because I was fine. I was content. Wasn't nobody bothering me and I wasn't bothering nobody. And my dumb self was walking up the street one day and all I heard her say was, "Get your ass in this car and go get your stuff and come on here." And I was like, huh? She was like, "You heard me." She was like, "You pregnant? Oh, okay. You want something to eat? I know you hungry." So we went to our backstage house. We ate something. And then it turned into me living with her, right? So I was 18, so I was grown, legally grown. And I wish I would not have never got in the car that day, because had I had never got in the car that day, my children would have never went in her custody. I probably would have custody of all of my children. That's where my life started to turn upside down. And the person who I trusted lied to me and told me, "Oh no, I would never call Pearl and tell her where you at. I would never." And when Mad Day come and I'm asking her, "I don't even know how you found out that I was at the pregnant women's shelter some years ago when I was pregnant with Jaheim," and she said, "You want me to tell you who told me?" "Keisha told me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So Keisha lied to me, told me she would never tell them. Okay. So that's how that started and how she ended up being back in my life, getting custody of my kids, all of that. Because when I went to court and was losing custody, the bitch was racist and was saying that I shouldn't give them to no white lady. And I ended up giving them to Pearl. But anyway, back to where we was. So I had my son at Huron Hospital. And when I had my son at Huron Hospital, like, she was heavy on the, "You better not call that nigga. You better not let him come up to the hospital." And I mean it. So anytime that I would go to the doctor, to my doctor's appointment, I would just go to my doctor's appointment and I would come back to the house. And I was told, she didn't give a damn if I was 18 or not. She would be like, "When you get done with your doctor's appointment, you come straight home." And I mean straight home. I was not supposed to go nowhere else. Like, as if I wasn't grown. Like, what? So back then I wasn't into like sticking up for myself, and then I was a little bit on the green side. If you don't know what green mean, it just means that I was a little slow back then and didn't know no better. So yeah, I was green, and it was I was real still like impressionable and like easy to persuade when it came to certain matters. And so what happened was, like, okay, so I get to the hospital, I go to my doctor's appointment, and I don't make it out of my doctor's appointment. I go to the doctor's appointment and they're like, "You're measuring small." And I was like, okay. And he was like, "I think you're gonna have the baby today." And I said, "Oh wow, okay." I was ordered to go straight home because she told me, "When you get done with your doctor's appointment, you come straight home." And that's that. And I wasn't able to come straight home because the doctors wanted to send me to the maternity ward in Huron Hospital. So I get to maternity ward, Huron Hospital. And I'm sitting there and I'm calling her to let her know, like, you know, I'm not gonna be able to come home because they gonna have me have the baby early. She said, okay, well, you have the baby and I will be there. She didn't come for the delivery. She didn't come for the labor. She didn't come for the delivery. She wasn't there for my C-section. She was doing whatever the hell it was that she was doing. She didn't rush to come to the hospital to see if I was okay, to check on me, to nothing. And I'm also going to tell the story about what that labor was like too while we're telling that story. So, because it all leads up to it or whatever, or after it. And for some reason, I'm in the hospital. I go through my C-section alone by myself. I'm trying to think, did I cry? No, I didn't cry. I don't know why I didn't cry, but I didn't cry because sometimes emotions hit you. You be like, damn, I'm about to do this by myself with no help. The father ain't here. The who else ain't here. The so-and-so not here. Ain't nobody here with me. I'm just by my damn self. But after the baby was born, she was involved in every damn thing. So I had Jaheem. I'm under anesthesia because I had a C-section because I was like panicking, and I was telling the doctor, I was like, you know, put me to sleep, put me to sleep. I don't want to push. I don't want to feel what it feel like to have a baby. He said, oh, okay. So he put the gas mask over my face and he was like, count from 3 backwards down to 0. And so by the time I said 2, I was out. When I tell you, I woke up, came to, was itching from the anesthesia, and they rolled me back to my recovery room. Well, before I even went into labor, when I was talking to her on the phone, telling her that they was about to take me to labor and that I wasn't going to be home, she was like telling me, all right, you get and you go ahead and you have that baby. And she was like, you bet not call that Negro to the hospital. Do you understand? And you bet not call that Negro to the hospital. Basically, the dad. So I get done. I'm itching. I wake up. I come to. I get pissed because I wake up and I'm itching and I turn my head to the right. I think it was my left. It don't matter. She was holding my child. I didn't even get to touch my child yet. Pearl was holding my child. So I went off and I was like, I was like, I don't know what I said to her, but we was arguing. She was like, what's your problem? And I was like, because I just woke up from anesthesia and you're holding my baby. It's not a big deal, Tina, because that's my nickname. And she was like, it's not a big deal, calm it down. And I was like, it is a big deal because I didn't get to touch him yet. I don't like to have my baby and somebody got their hands on my baby and I ain't touched my baby yet. That set me off. So then she was like, she was holding him and she was like, call that man because this ain't his damn baby. I'm sitting there looking dumbfounded, like trying to figure out like where did I go wrong, because what? And she was like, did you hear what I said? You gonna call that Negro and tell that Negro that this ain't his baby. This baby light as all get out. And you ain't 1 ounce of light at all. Ain't nothing on you light nowhere on your body. And it's not his damn baby. Do you understand me? You better call that Negro and tell him. So I'm like, huh? So she doing all that yah fussing, you know, and I'm just looking dumbfounded, like trying to, when she tell me this, I'm literally trying to figure out who the fuck else I slept with to have this baby, because I ain't know nothing about like how even if you're African American, your baby come out light at first and then it gains the color days later. He's peanut butter today, but I was like, oh, confused as hell, dumb as hell, green as hell, like really sitting here trying to figure out, damn, did I sleep with somebody else? Knowing damn well that was the only man that I slept with, the only man. So when I get home from the hospital, I call this man and I tell him, the baby not yours. He was like, say what, shorty? I was like, the baby not yours. He was like, what do you mean? And I was like, Pearl said that 2 black people can't make a light-skinned baby. This baby not yours. When I tell you he questioned it from there on out, because she gaslit the fuck out of me to get me to tell him the baby wasn't. And now that I think about it right now as I'm recording live and in color and thought, I'm thinking she didn't want him around. She wanted him to get the fuck away from me. And she didn't want him to have nothing to do with the baby. So that was her way of pushing him away. That had to have been what it was. But I literally went and told this man that the baby wasn't his. Bro. When I tell you, 6 months later, we got a DNA test. I'm talking about she arguing with him. You gonna buy the baby's crib. You ain't bought nothing for this baby. You gonna get this baby a crib. He never did anything for his son when his son was a newborn. Nothing. And Pearl was trying to get him to do. He didn't even do it. And so 6 months later, we get the DNA test. The test come back 99.99. And I done told this man this baby ain't his. So later on, years later, I don't know why it didn't hit me to tell him that Pearl was the one that told me to tell him that the baby wasn't his. But I didn't tell him off rip. I told him like years down the line. When he was like, you was sleeping with other people, told me the baby wasn't mine. I was like, look, Pearl told me to tell you that the baby wasn't yours when I was in the hospital. Because she said because he was brown skinned or fair light complected, and that he wasn't yours. Child, now, I mean, it is what it is, but that's my story time about how Pearl gaslit me into thinking my baby dad was not my baby dad. And I think this was crazy. Now that I think about it as a grown woman, I think she was just trying to get him to take a test so I can put him on child support so he can hate me and get the hell away from me. Because Pearl was the type of person that wanted everybody to hate me or dislike me because she disliked me or hated me. Like, when I tell you I had foster moms that I talked to that had me since I was 3 years old, and she went and spoke in that lady's ear and told her, oh, Celestine don't know who none of her children's fathers is, and she's very promiscuous, and she didn't finish school, and she dropped out, and she just telling different people and foster moms negative stuff about me. Just like now with the children's father that I'm dealing with now, she be calling him, telling him lies, talking about how being like, what do you call that? A person who make up stories, exaggerate. She was being exaggerant. She told my baby dad that every time I had a baby, I never wanted to hold any of them. She would tell them, oh, don't get a baby to me, get a baby to her. I never fucking did no shit like that. And you were lying because the only one you were around for was Jaheim, and Jaheim was already born when you came up to the hospital. I don't know why she didn't support me during the surgery or nothing, but she didn't show up till after he was born. It was a mess. And so I just think that was sick. Just like when I got in a car accident, she didn't give 2 shits when I got in that car accident. She was like, I'm not coming, like literally told me to my face she wasn't gonna come and make sure I was okay. It was a mess. But yeah, she's the type of person that will gaslight and sit up and tell people bad stuff about me to get them to not like me. And my foster mom, literally, my ex-foster mom told me she didn't want nothing to do with me until I had got my life together because of all the stuff she heard from Pearl. My baby dad that I'm dealing with now be throwing stuff in my face because Pearl done spit shit in his ear about how I never wanted none of my kids and I didn't want them. Girl, and he even said that don't make sense for her to say that about you, because if that's true, you wouldn't have kept going back to court, back and forth, fighting for them and filing to get them. And he was like, why would you have me get Faith if you didn't want your kids? So at first he was believing it, but then he had to come to realization that that shit wasn't true. But yeah, that's the type of person Miss Pearl is. And I want to tell y'all that story because I thought it was freaky and funny that I actually let this lady make me second guess who my baby dad was. But anyway, if you like this story time, go ahead and give me a comment down below and tell me what you thought about it. And remember, when I do a story time, it gets crazy.